Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this Thursday afternoon for our LACONI POP Sustainability in Action Programs and Practices. Uh, as we wait for everybody to trickle in, um, my name is Marla Spagarin. I am the Adult Services Manager at the McHenry Public Library, and I am also the new Vice President of the LACONI POP Division. We have three excellent presenters today presenting on sustainability in libraries through a programming lens. Maria Anna Rafek from Joliet Junior College, Liz Kirchhoff from the Barrington Area Public Library, and Christine Pariba from the Oak Park Public Library. Some light housekeeping. Um, you may enter any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. We will do a Q&A at the end. Any other comments, questions, feel free to use the chat or chat amongst yourselves. This program will be recorded, so the recording will be sent out to all of the registrants. It will also be posted to our LACONI YouTube page, which I will put in the chat for you to find later. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so. Okay, without further ado, I feel like we have a good group here today. I'm going to hand it over to Natalie, if you would like to introduce our first presenter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Finland. I'm the Adult Services Assistant Manager at the Orland Park Public Library and a board member with LACONI POP. And it is my great pleasure today to introduce Maria Anna Rafek. She is an architect, educator, activist, wife, and mother of 5. She is currently a professor of architecture and sustainability and academic advisor for the Architectural Studies program at Joliet Junior College, with a focus on helping students fulfill their education and career goals since 1997. Maria attended the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, receiving both a Bachelor of Science in Architectural Studies and a Master of Architecture in Instructions option. In 2008, Maria became Joliet Junior College's first sustainability coordinator, working with students, faculty, staff, and the community on sustainability-related issues. She serves as the co-affiliate for the Illinois Green Economy Network and as the chair of the South Metropolitan Higher Education Consortium's Sustainability Initiatives Committee. In the community, Maria serves as co-founder of the Will County Regional Sustainability Network, co-organizer of Greentown Will County, October 2018, member of the Environmental Commission for the City of Joliet, and as the chair of the city's Water Conservation Subcommittee. So Maria, please take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. We are super excited to share a whole bunch of information with you today. So at any point you have questions, you already told, put them in the chat, and then I'd be happy to answer those. All right, so everyone, fingers crossed our technology works today. So hopefully you can see my screen. I think we're good. All right. So today, we're going to talk about libraries as a sustainability hub, not only for the district we serve, but obviously the community and then beyond. My name is Maria Anna. I'm our sustainability coordinator here, and the presentation has actually been put together by Ash Klinder. She is our student intern. So our office at JJC is run on part-time power. I'm sure many of you know what that is like. So I have 2 student workers and myself part-time, and we run our Office of Sustainability. For those of you who don't know, Joliet Junior College is the first community college in our country, and we are super excited to be able to talk to you today about some of the initiatives that we do. All right, let's see if I could get this to go along with. All right, so first of all, I'm going to lay a little groundwork in regards to what sustainability is at Joliet Junior College, we have 7 core values here at JJC, and the 7th one is sustainability. So it's very important to our college. The Sustainability Union is unique on campus. We are the only student, staff, faculty, administration, community group that focuses on sustainability at the college and then beyond. Our Office of Sustainability collaborates with departments all over campus. We do a lot of interesting community initiatives that you'll hear. Above and beyond what we recycle here, we work with some groups. We'll talk about that today, about connecting with what other people are already doing. So we do a battery and pen and marker recycling here at JJC. And then we are out in the community all the time, tabling and presenting and helping folks relative to sustainability. So we're guided by the following principles. I want to tell you that oftentimes when I speak, and I have spoke to, housing authority folks, Girl Scouts, so kind of that whole spectrum. When we talk about sustainability, most of the time people believe it's about the environment or eco or recycling. But at JJC, we see it in a much broader capacity. And I'm sure many of you have seen this. This is the triple bottom line. It's actually an economic piece, but we talk about people, planet, and profit. So you see that kind of sweet spot in the middle, that if we can do something that is good for the planet, good for people, and economically responsible, then that's kind of what we call sustainability. It shouldn't lean more than one place. So oftentimes people will say, well, it's about saving the planet. I would tell you it's even bigger than that. It's about saving humanity, because we just so happen to need air, water, food, and shelter. Those are the first 4 things we need to survive. And all of that is provided by our planet. And so we want to see sustainability in sort of these 3 lenses. One of the pieces I think that's hardest for my students, I teach an intro to sustainability, and it's this social equity or economic justice. Clean air is good because people need air. Well, that's not quite what we're talking about in social or environmental justice. We know that we do things in certain areas and certain neighborhoods that we would never do in another neighborhood or another area. So we have, and many of you serve environmental justice communities. And so we want to make sure that it's not just equality, treating everyone equal, that it's equity, giving people the opportunity, equal opportunity, no matter what it is that you have to provide. And of course, if you're not familiar with the UN SDGs, we align ourselves to the best of our ability to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals. We've been working on this for about 20 years as a global community. I would be delighted to talk as a whole presentation here, just talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. And if you dig into them a little bit here, you'll see that they are way beyond just taking care of our planet. It's about taking care of our people as well. Last but not least, there's a few other things. And again, you're going to see this throughout my presentation. We talk about systems thinking, looking at the bigger part of a whole, not just one tiny piece of it. We talk about a circular economy. So right now we have a take, make, waste, and we really want to move that into a more circular economy, and we'll talk about that. And then obviously moving more towards zero waste. Donut economics, that's kind of talking about economically how we can be solving our problems, not necessarily with a detriment to economics. So if anyone here on the call has made the jump to an EV vehicle or to solar, you're reaping the benefits of how economically viable those actually are, in addition to being good for the planet. And then right to repair. We'll talk about this at the end a little bit. giving us the opportunity to repair and to reuse and to keep items in our economy a lot longer and not just throw them out. All right. Where am I at? I think I'm doing all right here. Okay, so we did a little searching and we found from the American Library Association in 2024 that you adopted sustainability as a core value of librarianship. And so this is the quote from the ALA. And we are super excited because I see the triple bottom line. We have the environment, we have economic fiscal responsibility, and then obviously to treat everyone not equally, but equitably. So we're super excited. You guys are already on your way. Libraries are spaces where people can learn how to do all sorts of things. And we believe that it's a great place to make a sustainable difference, obviously, for people and our planet. We have collaborated here on the campus with other libraries. The Frankfurt Public Library here near Joliet, we are part of their awareness fair. The White Oak Library's Fall Festival, so we table. We've also here at JJC have partnered with our library for something called Sustainability for the Mind, Body, and Soul. Everyone is welcome to use that. We do a Monday morning meditation, and then our Peace Crane project that we hosted with our library, where we made dozens, hundreds and hundreds of peace cranes. So our Monday morning meditation, this is super exciting for us. We have staff, faculty, and students who will meet very quickly on a Monday morning for a guided meditation, just sort of center ourselves. Sometimes we listen to a podcast or something online. Sometimes it's led by one of the members. But we recognize that if we want to be environmental stewards, and all you moms out there know it, you got to take care of yourself first, even though it's hard. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of our souls. We spend a little bit of time together. We've been doing this for a couple of years and are super excited to partner with not just our library, but our PE and our natural sciences and our tutoring and learning center. So that's a great initiative, a great way for, this kind of weekly event that we do all season long, not in the summer, but for the rest of the year, we meet every Monday. We have a beautiful roof garden up on our roof, so you can see in our solar panel there. What do you need to get this started? A group of interested people, you need a speaker and a space. So we use our library quiet study room to currently do this. And then as long as you can get to Wi-Fi or someone's phone, you're going to be able to provide a little bit of meditation. We have made it online as well. Thank you, COVID, right? We learned how to do that. So you can actually join from your desk. And so this has been super exciting. We've done some yoga and meditation in our arboretum. We've also done some sound baths. If anyone has the space, that's awesome. And then most recently, we did a sip and stretch, a tea and yoga, and then we partnered with the library to pay for the individual and the materials. So we're super excited to be able to partner with them. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the Peace Crane project, but we actually had a professor who started the Peace Crane project. And what we decided to do was use a lot of the goose paper, the good on one side, and we built peace cranes. You see a little bit over to the right here, some of those peace cranes flying. That is just the start. We filled that bridge up there with peace cranes. What was nice about peace cranes is it allowed people, we made the peace cranes, and then you got to write on it any injustice. So it wasn't like we hosted an event for reproductive rights, or we hosted an event for environmental justice or for Ukraine. We let the people decide what it was that they thought. So it was really nice. It wasn't like singly focused. And I think that's how we ended up with hundreds, because everybody, what was personal to them, they got to display. And we hosted it up there. This is the entrance into our 3-story A building. And right when you walk in, you got to see our Peace Crane project. Oh, there they are. Yeah, about 400 or so Peace Cranes. So that was super exciting. I'm going to spend my last few moments here talking about 3 ideas that maybe you guys might be interested in promoting at libraries. Our Take It table, our BYO campaign, and then our Repair Cafe. So first of all is our Take It table. This began in 2003, and we have tried to stop it. I don't know if you guys have initiatives out there. I take away the sign. People make their own signs. But this is awesome. Student, faculty, staff bring items from home or from their department. They just put it on the Take It table. I will tell you, I manage this. I make sure we visit the Take It table once a day to make sure it stays clean. But it has been super successful. Most items will be gone in 24 to 48 hours. That is how fast. We have school supplies, obviously, will go super quick, and we're limiting it. We do get clothing and food, but we now have a wellness essential pantry for our campus where there is a food pantry and a clothing pantry that students can access. So we're trying to move away a little bit from our Take It table, but you can see it here. We have a nice little sign. So offices are cleaning up, and we're keeping just so much out of the landfill. We do ask people to not make a mess. I will tell you, I was at a meeting at, I don't know if White Oak Library from Lockport's in the house, but I was at a meeting there, and they have a beautiful setup for pets. So you can bring in things, and then I'm assuming people could just reach in the bins and take things for pets. McHenry, I know McHenry's in the house. McHenry College, they actually have like a room. They have cabinets where, people would take all those binders and they would be thrown out. They can't be recycled unless you strip them down. And that is a portion. We've given away about 2 boxes in the last 3 days. All right, our BYO campaign. This shout out has to go to my mom. My mom sold Tupperware starting in the 70s. And so while everyone else was bringing their lunches in paper bags and throwaway Ziploc bags, I was bringing my lunch in Tupperware. Years ago, with 5 kids, when we go to stores or restaurants, we bring our own. I don't take styrofoam. I have a little bag in my car of Tupperware, and we put it in those containers, and then we bring it home, and they're ready for the microwave. So, or to be heated up. So this way we're bringing our own. So last year we brought our Bring Your Own to campus. That's our lovely intern, Ash. We're refusing single-use containers. We're keeping our own containers handy. We purchased through a grant aluminum cups and which are recyclable, and bags, and we are promoting bringing your own. How would you start this? I did it with just my own items. But it was great. We started with our staff. And so here at JJC, we give out reusable containers. We bring our own Tupperware. We try to not use single-use plastics. We have started a pledge. And BYOing is actually taken off. We went to secondhand stores and we purchased all of this stuff on the table. We had to build your own, bring your own bag. And you could see our students over there on the right, they have their bags and they're putting together these items. So if anyone has ever been on a college campus, there is food all the time. I was just in an event this morning. There were 75 people. There were 75 plates, 75 forks, 75 spoons and napkins, 75 bowls, 75 cups, and 75, miscellaneous pieces that all went in the garbage. But I brought my own and I took it to the sink here when I was done, and I just washed it off. I could take it to the dishwasher if I need to at night. And I keep my own rag and stuff in here as well. These are our students BYOing, and over to the right is our Officer of Diversity and Equity, S. Cortina, and our president, our 10th president of the United States, of Joliet Junior College, Dr. Namuo, and they are BYOing at our cafeteria. So super excited. We are working with State Representative Natalie Manley, and she has helped us purchase some BYO bags as well for BYO to go. And we are giving away containers, so you don't have to take the styrofoam or the non-usable containers. So we have been hosting an event with her, and it was great. We gave away not 150, but we gave away about 75 or so of our BYO bags and containers. And now we have people in the community who are going to restaurants and either asking to be served in those restaurants. And we have the Chinese place across the street, our Thai place, Jimmy John's will serve us right in these containers, or we bring our own for takeout. I have never once had anyone say it was a problem. Actually, most waitresses think it's a great idea. And the businesses, again, are going to save money because they're not buying those styrofoam containers. All right, I think I'm doing okay on time. A few more minutes here. I hope I'm not going too fast. But our Romeoville Repair Cafe. So I don't know if anyone has ever heard of a repair cafe, but these are free meeting places where skilled volunteers bring their own tools and their own items, and they fix items and help attendees fix items. So we have been hosting these events for a couple of years at JJC. These are the things that we've fixed. This is some global data about the most repair items. We are part of a global database. We upload our items there, but we replace all sorts of things. We have a bike station, an electronic station. We have a whole sewing room, which has about 8 to 10 volunteers, hand sewing and machine sewing. We have a glue specialist. We're going to be working on some electronic, more computer-based, and then we do small furniture repair. We have fixed a lot of dresser drawers. This is our crew here, all working. This is a great idea. We actually learned from a library. And of course, shout out to Oak Park. They have the first repair cafe in Illinois, the second in our country. There are now thousands of these across the page, across the world. And when you register, you will get a manual, and we have already spawned 2 repair cafes, and we would love to get people to do more. Just quickly for some of our information, Evanston, if you're in the house, Evanston is already doing it, South Milwaukee. It is really a community event, and the library helps host the event. We host ours. You can see some of the information there. There's about 250 currently in the United States, 6 or 7 in the state of Illinois. We host ours twice a year, Campus Sustainability Month and Earth Month. And then that kind of gives you some information. We get about 30 volunteers. Oak Park does it every week, so it's a little smaller event, walk-ins, so there's a lot of different ways you can host a repair cafe. We've seen online ticketing. We do seek donations, and every year we receive enough donations for coffee and donuts for free. And then we do feed our folks. So we are super excited about our repair cafe. This is a little bit, and again, if you're interested, please reach out. This is a little bit about what it works. You see they're waiting. We have our workers here that are trying to fix and repair things. And it's really started to create a little bit of a community with our workers helping each other using the internet. Thank you for YouTube. This is a little bit about the information. These are the 4 events. You see that we're running about an 80 to 77 repair rate. So that is a lot of broken items that we have fixed, some heirloom items that people were super excited that we fixed. So this is our statistics to date, a 73% rate, but 286 items, and we repaired 210 and kept them in our economy and out of the landfill. Oops. All right. Oh, I don't know what I did here. There you go. We have about 800 pounds of repairable items that we diverted. We did a little, just using basic weight from some of the items we repaired. And if anyone is interested in seeing what it's like, you can volunteer, or you're welcome to come out on October 18th. We hosted at our Romeoville campus. All right. I think that's it. I think I'm done. If you do have any questions, I'm going to stay on till the end. And of course, if anyone wants to reach out afterwards, here is our information. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Maria. Hi, everyone. My name is Mallory Knapp. I'm the Assistant Director at the Bartlett Public Library, but I serve on the LACONI Pop Advisory Board, and I'm here to present our next speaker. We will have Liz Kirchhoff from the Barrington Area Library. Liz has been an adult services librarian at the Barrington Area Library for more than 18 years. Liz has a Master's of Library and Information Science from Dominican University in River Forest. She's been an ALA Emerging Leader and an Illinois Synergy Scholar and has served on the Andrew Carnegie Medals for Excellence in Fiction and Nonfiction, Notable Books, and the Reading List Committees. She recently been elected to RUSA's Codes Board, where she'll be helping to steer adult book award committees. At her public library, Liz primarily focuses on book programming and selection. She also developed and manages the extremely popular Seed Library and Teaching Garden programs. And that's what Liz is here to talk about today. So thank you, Liz. I'll jump over to you.
All righty. Thank you, Mallory. I appreciate that. So today I want to share with you a quick overview of how our Seed Library and our Teaching Garden programs run. So every library is different, but I'm hoping that you'll find something today that'll be useful for you. When I started both of these programs, I really struggled to find other libraries that were doing this, that had some information that could help me. And I'm kind of hoping that I can save you all a little bit of work. And if I can, I'm really happy to. I also have a Seed Library cheat sheet to share with all of you, and I'll drop that link in the chat before the end of our program today. Hopefully that's got some resources on it that can kind of help you out. So I've been at my library for around 18 years, and my job's always been very firmly, as you kind of heard, in the book in the RA sphere. So this was a really big jump for me. I knew the absolute bare minimum about seeds and gardening and all of those things when I first started doing this. So I could have probably told you what an annual or a perennial was, but I just kind of winged it a little bit. And I am telling you this to tell you that if I can do this program and I can learn all of this stuff in just a couple of years, you guys can too. You can totally kind of figure this out. So ultimately, I want to get you thinking about ways that you can set yourself up for success, even if you're working with a limited budget or staffing, and how you can create initiatives that pull in outside groups to help you with some of the heavy lifting that you're going to have long term. So first, some really quick information about our library. So we're in the far northwest suburbs of Chicago, and our district serves around 45,000 customers over around 72 square miles. So we're one of the largest districts in the state. This is also an area that's changing really, really quickly. So Barrington used to be known as a retirement community, but the vast majority of our new residents are actually young families that are drawn in by really great school systems and lots of parks and outdoor spaces. And that's really where these programs came in for us. So we're going to start by talking about our Seed Library. In early 2019, my boss and I began to brainstorm some ways to serve the needs of our many local gardeners and conservation groups. And I'd been kind of thinking about a seed library for several years at that point, and he encouraged me to write a proposal for these internal grants that we had at our library, and that would kind of pay for startup costs and cover supplies and seeds for that first year, when you're kind of trying to get everything off the ground. So I submitted that proposal in October, and it was approved right away, and we were able to get all the cabinets, our first seeds, the supplies, everything that we sort of needed going in that first month or so. We used our volunteers and some staff members to stuff seed packets over the fall and into the winter break, and we launched our first seed library in February of 2020. So obviously, as you noticed, there were a few things that happened in March of that year, and our library closed due to the pandemic for around a year, starting in mid-March. We'd given away about half of our seed packets at that point, and we had a lot of people ask if there was any way that we could possibly get them seeds. We actually had a couple of folks messaging us asking if we couldn't just like hand seeds out the window to them. So I don't know if you guys remember, but at that time it was kind of hard to even find seeds because everybody was doing kind of like the victory garden and all of that stuff. So it was kind of funny. We did not do that, but I did kind of want to. So when we did finally reopen in 2021, we gave away seeds outside our front door, and they were packaged into these little cute themed kits. And they were sort of themed like salsa, pizza, natives, and flower gardens. So each of those had 5 seed packets, and our customers could choose 3. So that was a good way for us to sort of limit contact and limit the amount of like kind of standing close together and shuffling through of things that we had for that first year. We gave away our seeds over several days, and the lines frequently were 30 to 40 minutes long, so we could see that there was a really significant demand there. In each year we've grown. So this is a thing that I'm really, really proud of, and I always soapbox about this. So in 2020, we gave out around 4,000 seed packets. So that was our first year. In 2025, this last year, we gave away 62,650 seed packets. In total, we have given out more than 211,000 seed packets to our community over 6 years. So let's talk some specifics about how we set this up and how our program works. So our seed library lives in a large laptop cart, and it's perfect for this use because there's really great ventilation that helps to keep our seeds dry. So moisture and seeds together is just a disaster. So we want things where all of our seeds and all of our packets can get as much airflow as they possibly can. So initially we used drawer dividers, like you see here that we bought on Amazon, but eventually we cut dividers on our laser cutter, and those have been invaluable in keeping everything really neat and organized. We group our color-coded drawers into herbs, veggies, and flowers and natives, and that works really well for us. We also have a little baby traveling seed library that we bought for like 30 bucks, and we take that out to some different events and groups, and people just love it. It doesn't really hold that much, but they don't care. They just really want to see it, and it's just fun. So even if you don't have the budget to buy something really big specifically for this purchase, or for this purpose rather, pretty much everybody has an old filing cabinet or maybe a card catalog or a bit of shelving that's floating around that they can maybe rework. I've also seen seed libraries hanging in sleeves on walls, and cute decorated cardboard boxes, suitcases, and little free libraries. So you can get really creative if you are short on space or on funding, which I feel like is so many of us right now. So here's a pic of what one of our seed packets looks like. It gives the basics of what the plant will need, but also we point people online to our website for more information. And I will link that in that handout that I'm going to give you guys as well. So here's a screen grab from our website from one of our seed categories. So this will list what we have for the year, how to grow it, where we got it, and if it's in stock. So most years we have between 65 and 85 seed varieties. So breaking seeds up like this type, by this type, makes it really easy for us to organize, and it's also a lot easier for our customers to browse. So you see all of those little pluses on the side there. If you hit one of those, this is the expanded view of one of our seed listings and what that looks like. If they click on the website link, they can see where we got them. Every seed that's different has some different notes in there and a little bit about what to expect from it. So every seed library is different, but for us, if something is edible, we will only purchase non-GMO and organic seeds. And that's obviously going to be more expensive. So we've had to get a little bit strategic about it. So one of the ways that I found to do that is I will buy most of my seeds right now through about the end of August or so, and that will be my seeds for the entire next year, since that is when everything is on sale and all of the seed companies are kind of clearing out their stock for the year to kind of bring in stuff for next year. We do also accept seeds from the gardens of our customers. We do tend to not get so much as we do buy, but we do definitely get some, and we love to see that. One unexpected place that we've been getting a lot of our seeds from is completely unrelated organizations. So, for example, the Daughters of the American Revolution has donated many thousands of dollars of native seeds. So they're currently focusing on conservation and sustainability, and our program actually just works with theirs really well. So no matter where it comes from, we track where we got it on our master spreadsheet. And if you guys have kind of looked into seed libraries a little bit, you know you must do this. And it is part of the seed library law here in Illinois. So just keep track of all of that stuff and you're good to go. We buy in bulk, generally by weight, never ever by individual packet. It's going to cost you far more to do that. So we're going to buy by the ounce, by the pound, whatever it is that we are going to purchase for the year. And then we package everything in small paper envelopes. So it's a lot of work to package seeds this way, but we send them home with our volunteers, pack them with groups like the ones you see above, and hold seed packing party programs where I put on music and we just kind of chat while we work. I really love those events, especially because they give our community ownership of our project, they build connections, and they provide a lot of opportunities for our customers to kind of tell me what grew well for them the previous year and suggest things that they would like to see for next year. Our seed library opens for the year with a big event at the beginning of each February, and in most years, we're out of seeds by about April or early May. We don't limit our seeds, we don't require customers return seeds, and we do not barcode them. We do inventory them every month, and we use those numbers towards our IPLAR stats, which is obviously great for our stats. But beyond just the stats, this is also helpful because I can look back to previous years when I'm ordering for next year to sort of see what seeds have gone first and what didn't really move well, and maybe we should just not buy much of it or not buy it at all. Our budget for this program is usually around $4,500 each year, and we spend about $2,500 of that on seeds, and the remaining is on envelopes, labels, and other supplies. So libraries with a tight budget, if you put out a call to local gardeners, I would suggest giving them specific seeds that you want. So some years we just put out a general call for seeds and we'll hardly get anything at all. But then when we started telling them specifically that we're looking for like sunflowers or milkweed or cosmos or whatever specific thing that we want, we get tons of donations. So I think people just need a little bit of direction, and that's a good way to kind of get some of those donations coming through the door. You can also try your local organizations, seed companies sometimes will do this. Sometimes you can get Home Depot, Ace Hardware, those kinds of stores to donate their old seeds. Sometimes they won't, but it never hurts to ask. And you can also try the extension. So University of Illinois Extension does have their Master Gardener program, and they have quite a few seeds as well. You can also try Seed Savers, but just know that they don't typically send a whole lot. So they can be good if you're looking for a little bit of variety, but you really can't kind of lean on them for a lot that would sustain your whole library. The cheapest sources for paper goods, I'm going to throw in that handout for you guys, is generally speaking Uline for envelopes and Amazon for labels. But as you guys know, paper stuff is just expensive if you're working in larger quantities. In my opinion, this is actually the hardest part to budget around. It's not the seeds, since your seeds have to go in something. So if you have a really tight budget, you can try the method of one library that I heard about. So they don't pre-package. They actually have a seed library bar, and you just bring in your own envelopes or your own jars, and they've got jars of the different seeds along with some measuring spoons to scoop them out. So that could be a good way for you to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get into our teaching garden because I don't want to take too much of our time here. So we're going to switch some gears over to this other initiative that I wanted to talk with you about today. And those two things really go together so nicely. So Also in 2019, when we started our seed library, we removed this old gross cooling tower from the back of our property, and there was just kind of nothing going on back there. It was a little bit icky. And we started to kind of consider some options to rehab that space. The soil was pretty bad and the area was really overrun with buckthorn, and we really just could not leave it as it is. So a project that I had previously proposed was to create a teaching garden somewhere on the property to offer customers hands-on gardening classes. When the pandemic happened, we suddenly had this need for outdoor space for programming, and we also fortunately had a lot of money in our budget that would have gone unused from our operating budget since our building was just closed and we couldn't use it all. So our head of operations came to me and asked how I'd feel about revisiting that idea, and we partnered with our community partners at Rotary to make that happen. The resulting garden is 2,000 square feet. It's fully ADA compliant space with permeable pavers and crushed limestone walking paths. The buckthorn was removed and the topsoil was completely replaced, and that allowed us to start with a completely blank space that just kind of gave us this blank slate to start with and do whatever we wanted to. Our local master gardeners formed a committee with us, and we created a sun map and a planting layout for our first year. And we did a big call out in social media and in our newsletter for plant donations. And we got tons and tons of beautiful perennials from local area gardeners. Those really form the backbone of our space, but they leave us enough flexibility to sort of rework each year to make it what we need it to be. So this is kind of my teaching garden soapbox. This is what I always tell everybody. So this is kind of broadly my approach for this program. Once upon a time, we all had family members who sort of showed us how to select seeds and care for their gardens. For most people, those aren't actually skills that are that intuitive, and they aren't necessarily taught anymore. So we have a lot of apps and literally millions of videos online that can show you techniques, but that can be kind of overwhelming to people. At the end of the day, nothing really teaches us like doing, and gaining that experience with others in your community means that you can ask each other questions, share ideas, and troubleshoot problems. We want to involve kids as young as we can possibly get them. We know that kids learn by doing, and we want them to learn to play in there, walk through it, pick stuff, whatever it is that they got to do. For grown-ups, we want you to try the scary stuff on our plants before you do them on your own. So if you kill a plant by pruning it too much, I'd much rather learn that you do it to ours instead of yours, because I have a budget and I can replace it and it's not a big deal. Sometimes we learn best by making those mistakes and then by figuring out how to fix them. So this is always like my soapbox, and every time I hear somebody tell the kids to not walk through the garden or whatever, I'm like, no, go do the thing, get up in there, it's all good. So each year I try to identify a theme or something that I want to focus on learning or teaching, and I'll plant the garden around that theme. So for example, some years I focus on mixing natives with flower garden staples, and in other years I try and mix floral or sensory plants in with things that are edible. So here's how I kind of structure our programs. In the spring, I do a month of classes and guest lectures about gardening inside, and that kind of helps us kick off our in-person sort of outdoor programming for the summer. We hold community planting days after Mother's Day, where we put in the plants that we have either purchased or winter sown, and that's kind of what you see here. And after our space is actually planted, we'll hold weekly Tuesday morning programs. The first half hour is always garden maintenance, and then the next hour or so, we have many hands-on classes in the garden. We usually will focus on something that we're growing or a technique that we're trying to demo. So we've had classes with local arborists on pruning, classes on growing plants for aromatherapy, salsa and gourds, that kind of thing. In this program that you see here, we talked about growing squashes and other plants that are great for vegan holidays, since y'all needed to start that a while ago if you were going to do that. We also talk about things like pests and deadheading and growing vertically, seed harvesting. Always try and talk a little bit about heat safety and adaptive gardening, and pretty much anything else I can think of at the beginning of each year. Each month, our youth services staff also does at least one garden story time during our work days, and those kids usually come over to ask us to work or do an activity after they're done. During this one, the kids planted their own sunflower seeds, and then we sublimated plant tags with their names on them to mark them so that they could come back and visit their plants as they grew up, and it's super cute. My budget for the teaching garden each year is about $1,500, and that covers tools, buckets, gloves, seeds, annuals, and whatever else I might need. If you really need to, I honestly think you could probably get by with maybe $200 or $300, especially if you have gardeners that donate plants and seeds and bring their own tools each time. It's great to have that extra money, but you can do it without it. One cool thing that we haven't really explored yet is that we have a prairie space adjoining our teaching garden. And you can kind of see a little bit of it here. I've just been sort of letting it go wild right now. I'm hoping to either start partnering with a natives group or our master naturalists to begin teaching classes on small prairie space development and management, since that's a topic that our community is especially interested in. One really great and unintended part about having a garden space is that our teaching garden and prairie can feed our seed library, and the seed library can help plant our teaching garden. So how can you do this? So we do have a lot of space to work with. We are very fortunate. But having said that, we harvest maybe a percent of what we actually grow for the seed library. It's almost nothing. Gardens make tons and tons of seeds, so even planting a tiny patch of something somewhere will go a long way towards offering programming opportunities. And you can get a lot of seeds for your community, even if you don't have a seed library. You could just give them away right on the spot. We do it all the time. Once your flowers or plants go to seed, you can teach your customers how to harvest them, process them, and store them. So in this picture, you can see a class of kids from one of our local schools. So each fall they come over and pick what they want to take home with them, and they help us harvest the seeds for next year. So talking about the future for these programs, I think that logistically our seed library has probably grown about as large as it can unless something really changes. And that's really due to storage space more than anything. It just takes a lot of room to kind of keep 65,000 seed packets. But we've barely even scratched the surface of what we can do from a programming, outreach, or passive education perspective. We've done seed library and teaching garden programming with 4-H. We've hosted some of their state fair projects. Right in the garden, they've actually grown a bunch of things for their state fair projects. And we also have some existing partnerships with the Scouts and some local schools that I would love to see grow. This year, we installed a sensory play space for kids in our garden, and you can see the floor has different textures of mosses, and the arch above it has flowers, beans, peas, and tiny melons that are growing through it. There are tons of things to touch and smell and see, and observing how the kids interact with the space can actually help us to design better kid-friendly outdoor spaces in the future. Ultimately, the takeaway is that the garden is a very achievable thing for pretty much any library. Primarily, all you need to be looking for are sites that are far enough from traffic to be safe and close to a water source. You don't need a ton of money. You don't need a ton of space to make this work. There's a lot of things that you can do to improve the soil and the drainage, and that's where partnerships with garden clubs and master gardeners come in. Even if you don't know much about gardening like I did, you'll almost certainly have people in your area who can lend a hand with instruction and would be happy to teach you as you go. So at the end of the day, pretty much anything you do will be of some benefit, even the smallest steps, and they can create a much more equitable access to seeds and garden knowledge, form community connections, and help future generations learn about the environment around them. I'm going to go ahead and stop share.
Thanks so much, Liz. Your garden is beautiful. Our next presenter is Christine Pariba from the Oak Park Public Library. Christine is the Environmental and Sustainability Specialist at the Oak Park Public Library, a position she has held since spring 2023 when it was created. She holds master's degrees in education and creative writing. A native New Yorker, she lived in North Florida for many years before moving to Chicagoland in 2020. She appreciates the opportunity her job provides to work with a variety of community partners in creating programs that can empower people to live more sustainably. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. It is great to be here. I'm just making sure I have everything good to go. Okay. Hello. Thanks for the introduction, Marla, and for having me, LACONI, and Maria and Liz. That's a tough show to follow. Thanks all for being here or watching this recording later. So in looking back at the programming I've offered since my position was created about 2.5 years ago, I've been reminded of how much of this work is about connections. Of course, the connections we all in libraries make between people and information. Then in this role, connecting with colleagues across the library, which has enabled me to offer more robust programming and intergenerational opportunities. Connecting with local community groups and experts who are passionate about what they do, and creating events where they can connect with one another, and in turn help community members make connections to their own daily lives, practices, and perspectives. My hope is that wherever your library is in its sustainability programming journey, you'll make your own connection to something you can take back to your library. Okay, so in the 2+ years I've been in this position, I haven't yet met anyone else with my same job title in a public library. So I feel lucky for having this job, but also I want to talk briefly about how it came to be. So first, a quick snapshot of our library and our village. Oak Park is an urban style suburb just to the west of Chicago. And our library has 3 main branches. The main largest one is downtown Oak Park, just blocks from CTA and Metra. And there are about 137 staff members. Oak Park itself is home to many environmental groups. The village government has its own Office of Sustainability and Resilience. And in 2022, the village board, passed a climate plan called Climate Ready Oak Park. The library started assisting at that point with accessing surveys used to create the plan and in promoting awareness on the plan once it existed. So around the same time, the library was also seeing more program proposals related to environmental topics and wanted to be able to send representatives to some of the many groups' community meetings. So it was becoming clear there was room and interest for there to be more of a focus on environmental issues. So that's when the stars aligned, the position was created, and I was lucky to be hired for that in March of 2023. So coming from an education background, being relatively new to libraries and in a position that hadn't existed before, I've been thankful for very supportive colleagues. I also realized I need to come up with some kind of framework for planning programs. With such a wide-ranging topic, I knew I wanted to provide many different kinds of content that could touch a lot of people. So as with any framework, the weight would vary on each community and could also need to change over time in the same community. Also, we'll see as I get into a few details, there's obviously overlap among the categories. But having this basic structure really helped me get started, and I think using it helps me continue to offer a wide range of programs. So there are 4 categories here. For this presentation, I'll focus on the first 2 and just briefly touch on the last 2. Okay, so first category, sustainability at home and everyday choices. Formats for this programs in this category include information sessions, gardening workshops, swaps, and bike workshops. Those are just things I've done. There's a billion more ways, I bet. Okay, so one of the first emails I got once I got settled at my new desk was a forwarded message from my manager from the Cook County Department of Environment and Sustainability. I'd been recently talking with a colleague about many questions around recycling, and one of the choices was waste reduction and recycling, right? So I chose that program. That was one of my first programs. I know not every county has this kind of department, but checking out what kind of services your county office has may be one place to start. Another group you could check out if you haven't already is CUB, or Citizens Utility Board. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan group whose mission is to fight for the rights of customers for their utilities across Illinois. They offer virtual and in-person presentations throughout the state. I've had the solar power presentation twice. The first time, 50 people came despite a tornado warning. And the second time, a person got help regarding a solar power scam that had happened to him. So it was definitely, I think, a good program to offer. Also, the second time I augmented with local community members who shared their actual experiences with rebates, installation, and community solar, and they were available for questions and small group chatting. I found that people who have made their own energy upgrades are very open to sharing their experiences with others. So that can be a great resource for programs. As can your colleagues and acquaintances. When I learned that a coworker and I who shared a love of thrifting, she also had a fashion expertise, we collaborated on a program called Let's Talk About Fast Fashion. Okay, gardening workshops. Liz covered so much awesome garden stuff, but this will just be brief. So the Village of Oak Park's committed to biodiversity and sustainability and encourages residents to plant native species in parkways and public spaces. West Cook Wild Ones is also a very active chapter of Wild Ones, which is a national group that promotes native landscapes, advocacy, and education. So we collaborated on a hybrid program called Native Gardening in the Neighborhood, Design, Planting, and Maintenance that featured two very experienced green landscape designers. We actually had 200 participants, about half virtual and half in person. And I think a lot of that was also from just the cross publication with the Village and Wild Ones and the library. Vegetable Gardening 101 was another workshop designed to empower residents of any size living space to grow their own vegetables, reducing emissions, pesticides, being healthier. We met this awesome urban farmer on the left, Shamika Moore, at another local event. So she came and gave a great hands-on presentation, and everyone left with a grow bag with a few of the seedlings she had started. And this was in January. So she was talking about seeding indoors. We're about to have Vegetable Gardening 102 in the fall. And so farmers markets could also be a good place to ask about potential presenters on this, as well as Illinois Extension Office, which Liz mentioned. Okay, this one's pretty self-explanatory. I love the little Yoda. So events like swaps or bike checkups can just help people reuse, become part of a circular economy, and ride their bikes more. I've been hearing of so many cool swaps lately. Another colleague does a puzzle swap here that's popular as well. Okay, second focus topic is local civic learning. So given the strong presence of environmental groups in the community, a big part of my role is collaborating with them on local issues and spreading awareness on these topics, connecting the group's knowledge and experience with the public. So schools can be one source of collaborations. Earlier this year, a local middle school environmental science teacher reached out to the library about partnering on an event and an exhibit that raised awareness of how to prevent bird collisions. So I actually learned through this work that Chicago is a very dangerous place for migrating birds. It's on the Mississippi Flyway and has so many tall buildings and bright lights. So we did a workshop where her students and community members were invited to make some birds that were then part of an exhibit. And we had an open house when students gave tours and shared the information they had learned. So that was a really fun way to do things, I felt. And also, I mean, so I feel like science class teachers could be a great resource for what their ideas are. Okay, I mentioned the climate action plan that the village passed in 2022. So in 2023, August, they wanted to have a 1-year anniversary of the plan and reached out to me about having this event, which was basically a chance for many groups and members to talk about how the plan was going. About 80 people came. And during the event, I was sitting at the registration table and remember one woman telling us how much she learned from someone she happened to just be at the table with. And that gave me the idea to have an event that specifically allowed for the exchange of knowledge and expertise between these groups and individual members of the community. So I landed on doing an information fair. I'd still love to investigate human libraries on this topic, and formed a leadership team in partnership with the village and 2 other major groups in Oak Park. So we ended up calling it Eco Extravaganza, and I cannot take credit for the name, though I love it. It was someone on our planning team. So I collaborated with the children's department to make it an intergenerational event. Oak Park has a lot of families, and so we scheduled the event to be going on when Saturday morning story time got out. We made a sticker chart on the inside of the program and had the name of every group that had a table. And so that helped to encourage kids and therefore their grown-ups to visit a bunch of the tables. And so also working with the community partners and a leadership team, they're very embedded in the local environment, are experts. I had been in this job just a few months at that point, so that was really helpful. We reached out to 14 local groups, including the awesome Repair Cafe, which Oak Park did already have, and all of them participated in 2024. This year, which this program's from, went up to 20 groups, and we also doubled our participants from 100 to 200. We held it the first Saturday of April with the idea of kicking off Earth Month. We might move that to March. There's a lot going on here in April. And also the Repair Cafe meets the first Saturday of every month, so that kind of messed them up a little. So we're looking into it. But many of the groups commented that the large presence of families was a nice change from most of their events that where they tabled that tend to attract an older audience. We included a list of sustainable action steps on the back of the program, kind of things you could do in 1 hour to up to 3 hours, and just trying to make it accessible. We also included a QR code to a map of the event, which had links to all the organization's websites. So just a few pictures here. My awesome collaborator in children's department had a seed drop activity, which she did with native seeds that West Cook Wild Ones donated. We also encouraged organizations to have an activity at their table in addition to just passing out information. So that's what you can see in the middle picture. And just wanted to share one exciting connection that was made. The third picture shows a table where 2 parents from a local green team in a school were volunteering, and they did a lot of work with reducing food waste at school lunches at one school. And so at the Eco Extravaganza, they were able to meet someone who ran an organization in the Austin area of Chicago and set up a partnership where now a bunch of the wasted food is distributed every week to community members in need in the Austin neighborhood through the organization. So one of my collaborators wrote a note thanking me for having the library be a place where such conversations could happen, which was a very proud moment for me. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly touch on the last 2 areas in my little general approach square. Okay, so science and nature. Research has shown the healing effects of being part of nature, so I did want to offer nature appreciation related events. We've done a forest bathing event, collaborated with a health and wellness librarian at our library on that, and a drawing from nature event, which the graphic designer here actually led, and other presenters and scientific talks. And lastly, just wanted to touch on arts, culture, and the environment. Art offers us another avenue to reach people about our common humanity and shared planet. Things like film, storytelling, and art can help people see things from others' perspectives, hear from a range of voices, which I think is critical to the success of any environmental program. So podcasts could be a great way to just get a discussion on a topic started for a very low maintenance event. There are a lot of environmental podcasts. Upcycled workshops can also just be fun to do, and which can help with climate anxiety, and I think also contribute to a mindset of less waste. The idea of a craft corner came out of collaborations with the children's department and the desire to focus on crafts that use different materials and upcycling whenever possible. So we've done one with paper bags and glass jars to make spooky jars around Halloween time. And yeah, film screenings. Okay, and the last example I wanted to share was an environmental book discussion that I started with a colleague who's dedicated to environmental reading and super well read. I think I'm really good at connecting with experts to lean on and collaborating with people who will help complement my potential weaknesses. But through my colleague's help, we decided to include fiction as well as nonfiction as a way to not focus on, as they say, all the gloom and doom, but also to envision other worlds and realities. We also try to pick books that have some hope to them or some action steps. Many of our discussions move from the books to sharing other resources and making connections. And that's the description of our group called Earth Lounge, which explores the curiosities and complexities of nature, environmentalism, and sustainability, which gives us a wide range of things, I think. In sum, as I reminded myself a lot early on in this position, begin anywhere, and everything you create will be something more than there was before. So here's my email address, and I'd be happy to share any lists or other information if you reach out. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Christine, for sharing all that on your partnerships. We have time now for Q&A, and there's been some questions in the chat that have been going through. So right now, the first one that I see is for Liz, and it says, can you talk about the Illinois Seed Library law and what do you do to remain compliant with it?
Yeah, for sure. So I did link that in the cheat sheet that I added to the chat here. For us, it's fairly straightforward. So there are a couple of things that you need to be sort of thinking about a little bit. But the primary thing that I've always really focused on is keeping track of what I have and where I got it from. So it is conceivable that at some point you could potentially have someone ask you where you got, I don't know, that particular tomato seed from a particular year. And I can tell them so, where exactly I got it from. I can tell them how much, like weight-wise I have, and then how many packets that made, and how many packets we gave out. And that's pretty helpful. I have never actually heard of anyone being asked any of those questions. I think that the seed library law mostly provide some protection for folks like us, because I think for a long time we weren't even able to do it at all. So that is mostly what I do, and I'm always happy to show folks my spreadsheets and stuff. It's like 40 pages long at this point. They are it's a situation. But we just try and track every single thing we possibly can.
Great, thank you. And then just to stay on the topic of seed libraries, there was another question that says, what type of seeds tend to go out first and most? Is it herbs, flowers, natives?
So it's all over the place, and it just depends on what we have in a particular year. Always going to be, though, like your tomatoes, peppers, mostly stuff like that that's really expensive. Those are the things that go the first. We also try and buy every year some things that you wouldn't necessarily see in the store. Like things that I just saw and I was like, huh, what the heck is that? So like this year we had something called Turk's Turban, like gourds. I was like, I don't know what the heck that is, but let's try it. And those kinds of things, they tend to go really, really well. So it is very interesting to me because as the like economy changes and as kind of our environment changes a little bit, what people are looking for also changes. So certainly our native seeds are always going to go like crazy, but now we're seeing more people who are looking for produce seeds as well.
And then there was a question that you did answer that was in the chat about how you count your seeds towards the IPLAR
Yes.
report. And so you had stated that you do it as a programming step, but if you want to take this moment just to share with everybody.
Yes, certainly. So this is just a tricky one, and we have been back and forth with our administration a little bit, just trying to figure out a way that's fair. We use IPLAR, like our stats are the number of seeds that we give away in a month. I divide that by 3, and then that's the number that we use basically for passive programming. So every year we keep that like formula consistent, and I think over the years we've just decided that's probably the most fair way to go.
Thank you. The next question is for Maria. You did answer this in the Q&A, but if we just want to share it with everybody, the question was, how did you initially recruit volunteers for the Repair Cafe? Oh, we're not quite here. I don't think I can hear you. I don't know if that's just me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Technology. All right, we started with our current faculty and staff here at JJC, so we do have a pretty robust electronics program, welding, and that we do have students, so it's pretty amazing. Our youngest fixer is a 15-year-old electronic genius, a high school student. Our oldest fixer is 92. So we have alumni who will come fix, and we also have reached out to our retired faculty. So with 120 something years, we have quite a list, a depth. But we do reach out to businesses. So we did have somebody we wanted to start doing bike repair, and we reached out to some businesses. We are looking for someone to do leather, some leather work, and we have reached out to individuals. Our jewelry folks, they do their own business, and so they're willing to come and volunteer for one day. And I'm sure they're strumming up business as they're doing it as well for other folks who will maybe need more services. The best part about Repair Cafe, I should have mentioned, is this transfer of knowledge. So if you've seen in the picture, we have the fixer on one side, we have the person on the other, and we're sort of working together. Sometimes it just needs to be cleaned, and we could be sharing that information as well. But we do make sure that our fixers have quite a bit of experience. They're not novelists. They all have quite a few years behind them in their particular field.
Thank you. And then there was another question for repair cafes. I work in a wealthy community where swaps and exchanges do well, but I'm not sure how a repair cafe would go over since patrons can afford to donate and just buy new. Any advice on encouraging this initiative?
Yeah, I think we maybe, if you're interested, we can have a little more conversation offline. But I think that's kind of what we're talking about is changing that mindset. Somebody else had mentioned a little later about some of the heirlooms. So if you guys remember ballerinas, when you open up the little box for your jewelry, we had someone bring in a 12-inch ballerina from the 1900s. And we actually have a maker lab as well. So we got to fix most of the electronic parts, and then she went to our maker lab and paid to have them fix a little metal piece. So I think that's one piece. We do have people who will donate. They'll come in and bring their bikes, and then they'll donate them, and then we would then, share those out. So I think it's kind of changing that mindset that you don't need to buy a new one. But I will tell you, in our community, we have a wide range. We have, low-income food deserts, but then we also have very wealthy communities. And we see that people, especially some of their clothing items or, some of the items you buy now are not made as well. So we tend to, we're pretty successful in making those repairs, especially when it comes to jewelry. People want to keep their products. So I don't know. We may have to brainstorm that a little out, maybe a little offline, or how we could be promoting that in your community.
Yeah, I think that's part of a lot of what we're trying to do with this program is, it's really about changing your community's mindset and opening up that can of worms for them.
Yeah.
So there was one question that got put into the chat, and it can be for anybody. Christine, you might be a good person to answer this with your community conversations that you have. And it says, given the environmental harm, air pollution, water pollution, and excess water usage of AI facilities, which are mostly located in minority neighborhoods, not to mention the incorrect information that is rife with AI, are there any libraries tackling, I think it's supposed to say tackling this as a topic in their communities?
Yeah, none, not that I know of. I know we've had this programs talking about AI, but not specifically the environmental aspect. But I feel free to email me. I will look into that. I'm curious too.
Well, those were all the questions that I saw come through. Marla and Natalie, I'm not sure if you saw anything else that I didn't catch. Just doing a quick peruse through the chat.
That's everything I saw.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, everyone, we'd like to thank you for showing up and spending your Thursday afternoon or lunchtime with us today. And thank you to our great presenters who shared so much information and really, really great ideas. If you enjoyed this, you're in luck because we are planning a part 2 that should be happening later this year on how to incorporate sustainability into other parts of the library. This program, just a reminder, will be recorded, will be sent out, and will be posted to the LACONI YouTube page. And the handouts, the contact info, all of that will also be sent out as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.